Welcome. During this webinar, we will look at the Title I Part D Performance Report in the Grant Management Application and Planning System, also referred to as GMAP. If you are new to GMAP, please reference the LEA Performance Report Guide on the Subpart 2 webpage or the State Agency Institution Performance Report Guide on the Subpart 1 webpage. This guide will walk you through the basic navigation of the Grant Management Application and Planning System in order to complete the performance report successfully. Let's walk through each page of the Title I Part D Performance Report and look at changes for this year and some common issues that popped up in the past. There are not any brand new questions, but some language may have changed or been added. For the purpose of this webinar, I am starting on the Sections page of the Performance Report. Keep in mind this report is under Fiscal Year 19 because the data is being collected for school year 18-19. Before you can edit the report, you first want to make sure the report status says Report Started. If it doesn't, then you will need to change your status. Once you change your status, the system will ask you to confirm the change, and once you do that, then you will be able to edit the report. Once you're ready to edit, enter the contact information for the program's point person on the contact page and then return to the Sections page. Scroll down the Sections page until you find the Title I Part D Performance Report section. Click on the first page titled Guidance and Instruction. The first thing to do on this page is to read it very carefully. The definitions at the bottom of the page are important because it helps you to select the correct program type on the next page. Adult corrections would be selected for each facility that is under the Department of Corrections. At-risk programs may be served by Part D funding, but they do not generate any funding. At this time, Kentucky does not serve any at-risk programs with Title I Part D funds. All of our facilities receiving funding also help to generate the funding. Juvenile corrections will be able to select for each facility that is under the Department of Juvenile Justice, or a Subpart 2 facility that is not a detention center. Juvenile detention facilities will select juvenile detention on the next page. Then you will move to the next page. I'm going to use the Go To button at the bottom and click the next page. Page 2 is the demographic data. This is important to keep in mind when you are completing the page and to make sure you read it very carefully. So let's go to the first box. You'll select your program type based on the definitions from the previous page that we covered. Then complete the student demographics section. This section is an unduplicated count, meaning students can be counted once regardless of the number of times of re-entry. Now this is important. You will only count students who were served between July 1st and June 30th of the fiscal year being reported. The next section is the race and ethnicity. This section is also an unduplicated count. This section should total the same number as the student demographics section. While completing the report, use zeros where appropriate. The age section is again an unduplicated count, so students can only be counted one time in this section. The total should match the previous two sections. Then fill in the data for the types of students served. This pertains to students with disabilities, English learners, and the number of long-term unduplicated students who were enrolled 90+ consecutive calendar days. So your long-term count is for those students who were enrolled for 90+ consecutive calendar days and not just school days or enrollment days. Academic and vocational outcomes while in the facility. This section is an unduplicated count. Enter the number of students who at any point during their enrollment earned one of the outcomes in this section. Keep in mind, earning a GED or high school diploma is a one-time outcome, but students can be counted as having attained more than one outcome. For example, a student may have earned high school course credits and a high school diploma while in the facility. The count should reflect actual outcomes, not anticipated outcomes. Students can earn an academic or vocational outcome more than once during the reporting year, but should only be counted once in this outcome. For example, a student who earned 5 course credits would be reported as one student earning high school course credits in this count. Remember, the expectation would be for those outcomes and would only be obtained once, such as earning a GED or high school diploma. Academic and vocational outcomes after exiting the facility. This again is an unduplicated count. In this section, you will enter the number of students who, after exiting the facility within 90 calendar days, obtain one of the outcomes in this section. Each student should only be counted as enrolling in a local school district up to 90 days after exiting. Enrolling in a local district is a one-time outcome per student, just like earning a GED or high school diploma. Again, counts should reflect actual outcomes and not anticipated outcomes. Just like in the previous section, students can earn an academic or a vocational outcome more than once during the reporting year, but should only be counted once in that outcome. Also, make sure to keep in mind those are a few expectations. The last section on this page is the average length of stay. This section is where the duplicated count comes in. The average length of stay is determined by the number of students served and should only include the number of days per visit for each student enrolling during the reporting year, regardless of the entry or exit date. Multiple visits for students who entered more than once during the reporting year can be included. So enter the number of students served, which can be a duplicated count. Each visit is counted as one regardless of how many times a student has re-entered. Then enter the total number of days services were provided. You will enter the number of days per visit that each student was enrolled during the reporting year, regardless of the entry or exit date. For example, if a student enrolled for 20 days, exit and return for 30 days, and the number of days of service would be the total of 50 days for the student, and he would be counted as 2 in the total number of students for this section. Also, all calendar days are based on a 7-day week, even if the academic portion is a 5-day week. The system will then calculate the average length of stay. The calculation the system performs is the number of days divided by the total number of duplicated students. The answer will be the program average length of stay. Please keep in mind, if you have a Subpart 1 institution, your average length of stay should be no more than 30 days. Let's move on to the next page. The math data. On this page, you will provide the unduplicated number of long-term students who participated in math pre- and post-testing. The count of these students are for your long-term student placements. So students who were enrolled 90+ consecutive calendar days, the long-term number should match what is entered for long-term unduplicated students in the type of students section on the previous page. You want to make sure you are reporting current data. Students who were pre-tested prior to July 1st of the reporting year may only be included if their post-test was administered during the reporting year. Students who were post-tested after the reporting year and has ended should be counted in the following year. Keep in mind the data entered should be whole numbers and students are counted once. The number for students who took the pre-test and both the pre-test and post-test should not exceed the count entered for long-term students on the demographic data page. The outcomes for those who took the pre-test should total the number you entered for those who took the pre-test, and the same for the post-test. The outcomes should total the number you entered for those who took the post-test. Let's move to the next page. The reading data page follows the exact same guidelines as the math data page. You'll just enter in your reading data. The last page of the performance report is the related documents page. If you have any discrepancies in your data, this is where you will upload any explanations pertaining to the cause of the discrepancy and how to fix it for the future. One more important piece of information before we end this is to note the consultant checklist. You can get there by using your Go-To button to navigate and click on it, where you can go to your sections page and scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on the consultant's checklist. This opens up to show all pages of the report. So you'll scroll down to whatever page you need to edit at the time. This is where you will find the consultant's notes regarding revisions that are needed in this report. So if your performance report is returned, please be sure to check here for what needs to be revised or corrected. If it says attention needed here, then there will be notes below for each section. Also, the system will flag errors within your report. You will not be able to submit. You can click on the message link on the sections page to review any errors or warnings. If you have errors, you will have to correct them before the system will allow you to submit. The report will follow the same workflow as last year. So at the district level, the report will have to be started, completed, and approved by the district or state agency before it is submitted to the KDE consultant. The only new piece is that if it will not show KDE consultant approved once it has been reviewed and no revisions are needed. If you have any questions regarding your Title I Part D performance report, please do not hesitate to contact your consultant. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.